and how paralyzing it could be. And then one day, it didn't hurt so bad. You know, and then one day it still hurts. It's been several years now. It was 2016. So it still hurts. I still sometimes think, whoa. And I think that reason is because I didn't live there. You know, I lived several states over from my parents. So I was not around him all the time, but we talked all the time. We texted all the time. He was always the first to text, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday. You know, we all communicated that way. So the fact that it was so
I lost your volume again. Hold on. I lost your volume.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
I am so sorry. So the other thing, there were two things. So the other thing that that surprised me was fear.
Okay.
Fear consumed me to the point where, you know, this loss was unexpected. It obviously came, we didn't know he was an addict. So all of it out of the blue, and an overwhelming sense of fear paralyzed my heart for several years. And I didn't realize it. But I just was very, very fearful I would lose someone unexpectedly, fearful that would happen to someone I loved, fearful something really, really bad would happen to my children, fear that something really, really bad would happen to my children one day, fear that my children would make a really bad decision one day, you know, because my children were very young when this happened. So just that overwhelming sense of fear consumed me, and it just leaning into God that finally broke off. But I was very surprised by that fear that clawed and gripped my heart.
I can so relate to that. When my mom passed away, it's like it became very real, the struggles I was having with Quentin. And I used to call him all the time and be like, just promise me you'll be safe. Just promise, like, I can't lose you too. I just kept saying that over and over, because I think up until my mom passed, we like to pretend that we live in this bubble where, like, where nothing bad is ever going to happen and you're never going to lose anyone that you love. And then when you lose the first person, it sort of breaks that bubble that, like, oh, you know, everyone doesn't live forever, and bad things, you know, can happen, and you are going to lose people in your lifetime or whatever. And so it kind of makes you hypersensitive to the that all the way around. And then absolutely, you can stay stuck in that place. That's a very real thing. So what would you recommend if somebody finds themselves in that place, struggling with, like, all of a sudden they're fearful for everything?
The good news is, unfortunately, I had several friends that had experienced loss in the years before my brother passed, and it was their siblings. Some was expected, someone was unexpected. So I think what helped me was them having a circle of influence around that I could lean into, that I could lean on, that I could go to, that I could talk to. Up until the point before Jacob died as well, my husband and I had gone through several years of a very difficult season, just with business, friends, life. And that season really, really, really taught me to lean on God. And He is where my strength comes from. That is where my faith went. So when I experienced this, my faith was already to the point where, thank God, it didn't destroy me. It paralyzed me, but it didn't destroy me. And so I really, really leaned in to God and my relationship with Him, and leaned on His promises, leaned on His truth until I experienced breakthrough. I just was not letting go of His hand until I experienced breakthrough.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask if you found that, how would you say that this changed your relationship with God? Like, how did Him walking you through this season, how did it change your relationship with God?
My faith is much stronger. Again, like I said, we went through a very difficult season up until that point. And at the point my brother died, we were actually just coming out of that season. So we found ourselves back there, but it was different this time because we had already leaned on Him for his understanding and for faith.
Mhm.
So our faith
Mhm.
was already stronger and strengthened at this time. I just think I got to know him more personally. Like you had said, this was something we had never experienced before. We had never
Right.
experienced unexpected. We had never experienced um, that world, addiction, or I had not. I had never experienced that world. So I think the thing that it really, really taught me was that um, we are all God's creation and He
Mhm.
loves us all the same. And I really had to go through a season of forgiveness because I was very angry, never at my brother,
Mm.
but at the things that led him to addiction, which were
Mm.
serious pains in his life, which were caused by humans.
Mm.
God told me, you have to forgive them because I love those people as much as I love you. And
Mm.
so I really had to seek God and seek his voice and seek his truths, like I said, and surround myself with his love and learn how to love his people and not judge. So
Yeah.
it's a very humbling experience losing someone to addiction because, like you said, you don't think it'll ever happen to you. You
Mm.
never experience it, but when you do, it really opens your eyes, and it was very humbling. And I really
Yeah.
feel like I see people now the way all people, the way God sees them, because addiction is no respecter of persons. I mean, we were not raised that way. We weren't raised
Right.
by addicts. We weren't raised with alcohol in the house. We weren't, it's just not the way we were raised. So the fact that this happened to our family just shows that it's no respecter of persons and that the enemy has a strategy for our life, but so does God. So I really leaned more into God and learned how to judge less and love more.
That's awesome. And I think that forgiveness piece is so key because I think one of the common denominators with everybody I talk to is like this outlet of anger. And so either it's anger at the person who passed away or anger at God or anger at, there's this because you're angry. Somebody you love isn't here anymore. And there's an expression of that. And I think sometimes it's pointed in different directions, but I think that's definitely so coming to a place of forgiveness to whoever you need to forgive I think is something we all have to walk through, and the Lord is the only one who can really guide that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a common theme for sure. So let's change to like, and you already mentioned that you had people around you that had gone through it, so you had a great support system. So I love talking about what was a piece of bad advice that you got, like what, or talking about the like insensitive things that people they mean to do well but it actually hurt or wasn't helpful because I think the more we can talk about that stuff we can realize to just let it go and also to train people not what not to say so what was either a kind of a insensitive comment or a piece of bad advice that you got as you were walking through this?
Nothing stands out that was bad, and I think only because, again, going through the season prior, I kind of learned to protect my mind, and I kind of
Yeah.
tuned out the bad and tuned
Yeah.
in the good. um,
Yeah.
so I'm sure there was, a good piece of advice was a friend said people are going to say really stupid things to you, and they are going to give you bad advice. He said
Right.
smile and pray for them. And she literally said that when this all started. So I think I kind of tuned it out.
That's awesome.
And you know, my brother was so loved. We come from a small community. My brother was so loved. And again, the community really came around our family and surrounded our family and protected our family.
Mm.
Which really, growing up, my goal was to get out of there. And it really, again, humbled me at the outpouring of love that we were shown
Mm.
by people I had not seen since high school, which was, 20 plus years prior. So the outpouring of love that we experienced from the community and our church was overwhelming.
Mm.
People I hadn't seen since high school sending me private messages, saying, "Hey, I don't know if you remember, my brother passed away, and I'm
Mm.
here for you." And just the fact that people were there. But I think I really tuned out the negative. I
Yeah.
do think, though, the thing that was the hardest was I feel like we had people lean on us because everyone in our family, I see this divide families, and it actually brought us all closer together. So
Mhm.
there's four of us total. We're now left with three siblings, and then my two parents. They're still married. We literally got
Oh, you froze. Hold on one second. You're frozen. Say something. Oh,
you hear me?
I can hear you now.
I can hear you. Sorry. I think that we really linked arms and people trusted, that we really put our trust in the Lord, and people saw that. So people actually leaned on us. People
Mm,
would come to us and mourn to us about the loss of my brother. And at times that kind of, we were like, this is our family member,
right.
like we should be
Right.
coming to you. Like we should be the ones boohooing to you and crying to you. You shouldn't be coming to us crying to us. The roles should be reversed. This should be. So there were times that was kind of honestly a little off-putting, but at the same time I thought, you know what, maybe this is a testament to our faith and to God and how he is giving us strength to get through this.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that you could be there for them like that. That's one of the things that I really kind of warn against, because if you're not careful, that can get you stuck. Because I was just chatting with somebody about this, that especially as it relates to Quentin, to all of Quentin's friends and a lot of his other family, like I'm the closest thing left of him, like I represent him to them. And so when I talk to them or whatever, all their grief, all their emotion is going to come out at me because I stir that up in them because so I had to be really careful and selective about who I was going to talk to or who I was going to, because if people are throwing their grief up on you all the time, it can make it hard to process your own stuff. So that's beautiful if you were able to be there for those people. But I always want to encourage people to, make sure your own oxygen mask is on first, and it's okay to not answer the phone. It's okay to decline invitations. It's okay. You don't have to be there for everybody else.
And that's very true. It's very, very true. Looking back, it is.
Right.
You said, put your own oxygen mask on first. Make sure you're in a good place. Turn your phone off. Don't even respond. Heal
Right.
yourself first before you help other people.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay, well, what was a gift that you've received throughout this whole process? You touched a little bit on, just your relationship with the Lord, but if, looking back, what are some of the ways that you've actually been blessed by having walked through this?
Um, my brother loved.
Mm,
He loved big.
mm,
And I wish my it humbled me so much because I didn't know that about him. I knew he was
mm.
I knew he loved how much he loved his family. So he was almost 6'6". He
Wow.
was a big guy.
Yeah.
He literally would give the shirt off of his back to somebody. So here
Mm,
was this person who was hurting so bad, but he gave himself away to other people. I
mm,
had so many stories pouring in from people that would say, I would come in, they would reach out to me and tell me how selfless my brother was. How, my daughter was in the hospital really sick and your brother came and stayed with me. And I came in town and I didn't have anyone to work out and your brother came and worked out with me. Or I was going through
mm,
a tough time with my husband and your brother came and talked to me. Or I was going through this tough time with my spouse and your brother. That guy loved, and he was so selfless
mm,
that, and it showed. I mean, his viewing, they had to create more parking. The line was out. I mean, the funeral director said, I have never seen that for a 37
mm.
man. He said typically by that age, they have some people come. It was overwhelming, the people that
Wow.
showed up, and it was story after story of how my brother was there for them,
Mm,
how much he cared, and how he loved bigger than he was, and he was almost 6'6". And so that humbled me. I thought
mm.
he truly was like Jesus.
Yeah.
If he could give himself away, and he was obviously hurting inside, then who am I? I'm not hurting inside that bad. You know, I need to love. I need to love, and I need to see people like he saw people. He saw people like Jesus saw people. He didn't judge, and he loved, and he was very selfless. And that was the gift to me that spoke volumes to me. It was humbling. It was very, very humbling.
Wow. So it kind of called you to a higher standard, like make you want to do more. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought, that we all need to do this.
Yeah.
We all need to see people that way. We all need to love people that way. And we all need to see the best in people. We really
Yeah.
do. And so it
Yeah.
definitely called me to a higher standard.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that I didn't know you before your brother passed away, but I know you a little bit after your brother passed away. And you're an amazing person who just exudes love and affection and appreciation for people. So I think that it's made its mark. It's making its mark in your life and in your heart for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
So my last question would be, so if somebody is watching this course and they have it, there's two groups of people I want you to speak to. So one would be they're walking through first time grief and it's fairly fresh. They're kind of in the beginning of it. And to think, if you will, about somebody who maybe lost someone a while ago and maybe they didn't have great support around them. They didn't have the mechanisms to be able to deal with it in a healthy way. And they're just, trying to process through right now. Like maybe it's the same piece of advice or maybe it's different advice, but what, if you could say anything to them, what would you want to say?
Deal with the grief.
Deal with
Let yourself walk through grief.
Mhm.
Allow yourself to grieve because it's
Mhm.
okay. It's human. If you don't deal with it, it's you're going to have to deal with it eventually. So deal with it. Embrace the grief because I
Mhm.
think in the grief process comes healing.
Yeah.
The best advice that I was given, again, through the same friend that gave me the other advice of smile and pray for them, she told me that. She said, grieve, allow yourself to grieve, but don't stay there forever.
Yeah. But don't stay there forever. And I want to push on that. Like, what does that practically look like? Like, how did you walk that out? How did you allow yourself room to grieve, but not wallow or get stuck? What did that look like practically for you?
I think when you allow yourself to walk through the process, get yourself around a support system. Talk about your loved one. I mean, we talk about Jacob all the time. Like I said, my
Mhm.
boys were 11, 7, and 1 when this happened. They still
Mhm.
remember him. We keep his memory alive. We talk about him all the time. We talk about favorite stories. My family, we don't hide that, and we don't hide why he died. We want to
Mhm.
bring it. We want to bring the truth to life. So we keep it very healthy, and we talk about him. But I surrounded myself, like you had mentioned, with a support group of people. I personally did not need counseling. I know
Mhm.
several people that did, and they did
Mhm.
get counseling, and it helped them tremendously. My counseling was people that have already gone through this, had
Mhm.
already walked through that process. I just really became vulnerable. I allowed myself to become vulnerable and become
Mhm.
honest. But again, we walked through that. So I would really encourage people to allow yourself to walk through the steps of grief. But if you need to get help through a professional, get help through a professional, but always keep that person's memory alive. Talk about them because that's healing. To me, that was healing. Was we still talk about my brother all the time. My boys talk about him all the time, and that's very it. It hurts my heart. It always sends a little twinge, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, he lived big and he lived a good life.
Yeah.
We
That's
remember that.
so good. And I think, and I'm sure you recognize how blessed and fortunate you were to have so many people around you who had been through the same thing and had a really healthy way of dealing with it. Because I think not everybody has that. And so that's what we aim to do, not just through this course, but through the Facebook community, to have people who've been through, either are going through or have been through this, but they can make sure you don't wallow and make sure you don't get stuck because some support groups,
Yes.
going to a couple support groups, and I don't want to paint the brush that it's all support groups, but the ones I visited were a lot of people. It was years later, and every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. they go and rehash all the details and cry about it and just kind of stay stuck, and they're looking for other people to stay stuck. So so glad you had that in your life, and that's what we are trying to provide for people if they don't have that in, you know, in their hometown or in their own life.
Absolutely. Find someone. And another thing I have learned is give yourself away. It's hard for
Right.
you to feel sorry for and again, walk through the steps of grief. When you're ready, give yourself away to someone.
Yeah.
Maybe there's healing in helping an addict. Maybe there's healing in befriending an addict. Maybe there's healing in just volunteering somewhere. Maybe there's healing in just smiling at a stranger and saying, "Oh my gosh, I love your necklace. It's so beautiful." Or just saying hi to somebody. Take your eyes
Right.
off yourself and put them on other people, and there's healing in that. um, I know several people who have lost several siblings and they don't have that support system, and they have consciously sought it out. So I would consciously seek out someone who has already been there and overcome it.
Right. And that's what I love about this course, because we literally, if they can't find anyone else, this can be, they're watching this at 2 in the morning when they can't sleep or whatever it is. We can have us in, you know, in their living room or on their computer. That's so powerful. And I think it's so needed, you know. There's not everybody has that in their real life. And I love the point, give yourself away. And that is like, that's our fifth step of our 5 steps, is to find purpose for your pain. Like, for your own good, because it's so healing, and it's so helpful to not just get tunnel vision on your hurt and your pain and how it's unfair, or fill in the blank however you're feeling about it, when you can go out and understand that other people are walking through stuff too, and
Right.
it can help you to feel not alone. It can help you to put your pain in a different perspective. Instead of it being all consuming, you can understand, oh, other people are going through really tough stuff too. And yeah, helping someone else, you know, that's the whole founding of Q's Army for me, is like, you know, if I can go and educate and try to help families, then, and then he doesn't pass away. You know, I just spoke earlier today to these Rotarians, and I invited them all. I'm like, now you all know about Q and his story. So now, like, you know, if this at all encouraged you or inspired you or impact you, now you're a part of Q's Army, you know? And it kind of warmed my heart as I was speaking with them, and there were pictures of Quentin up on the screen. I was like, gosh, Quentin, like, I was kind of talking to him or thinking about him in his head, that like, you're, you know, these Rotarians in Florida are learning about who you were as a person, and seeing your pictures and seeing our Christmas videos or whatever. Like, how crazy is this, that this is even happening? It just was kind of a cool moment that people who would, if he were still alive, these people would never know about him, you know, but they're able to hear about his story, and hopefully they were at least educated, if nothing else, right? But it's a way to make something meaningful, and it's really healing. So I just encourage whatever that looks like for them, you know, like you said, it might just be helping a neighbor or volunteering, or find someone else who's lost someone and be that community to them that you had, you know, the privilege of having those people around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love what you're doing. I love how you are opening that door to help break through with people. But you're right. Surround yourself with other people. And you, eventually, again, it's still painful, but you will have breakthrough.
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel, thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time and sharing your hurt and pain and victory and wisdom with us. I know that anybody who watches is going to be blessed, and I'm blessed to know you and call you friend, and I just appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And that, like I said, I absolutely love what you're doing. Our loved one's pain is never in vain. And I don't know about you, but when I found out why he died, I promised and I made a vow that there will come healing from all of this.
Yeah.
There will be healing. Like you mentioned, there will be purpose come out of this pain.
Yeah.
Beauty will come out of these ashes. Joy will come from this morning. And
Yeah.
I love what you're doing.
Well, amen. Glad that you get to be a part of it. So excited.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
You have a great day.
You too.